It is Saturday here at Origins Game Fair, and I am going to have my last interview of the show with an old pal of mine going way back to the beginning of the gaming gang. What was your name again? Terry Coleman, or as we like to always say, TC, is joining me, and we're going to talk a bit about a pretty exciting game that was recently Kickstarter. Well, it's been a little while, right, that it successfully Kickstarted, did really well. And we are talking about Traveller Ascension, Imperial Warrant. And as far as I understand, this is kind of based on classic Traveller, like the GDW sort of Traveller, not necessarily...
It's based on, I took a lot of stuff from, because I've been playing Traveller for forever.
Right.
And I go back to the, what we used to call the little black books.
Yeah, right.
That was when I started.
Yeah.
But this takes a lot of stuff from recent Traveller, T5, all that.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah, so we met, we have a really good relationship with Mark Miller.
Right.
And I had just so happened a few years ago, I'd played Traveller, and I was like, wow, this is like I'm in college. I really enjoyed it. But I don't have the time in my life to go back and play.
Invest 8-hour game sessions.
So, and a lot of those older games we used to play, Fifth Frontier War and Zante High Lightning, they're great. But for a modern game audience, I don't know if that's
tough sell.
Yeah, so what I told Mark we wanted to do was take all the fun stuff we like about Traveller, like take 90% of it and try to distill it down into a board game you can play in a couple hours. Okay. Hard to do, but that was the thing. So we picked it up, we let him play it, he was like, wow, this is really fun, Terry, run with it, and this is the result. So it's been years of development. It's got a lot of the elements that you think of from Traveller. Yes, you can do military, but you can also run around with diplomats or have shadow agents do things kind of under the radar and assassinate and do sabotage and all these things. You use science to increase your tech and explore space systems and stuff. What I wanted to capture was that feeling of Traveller, of kind of being out on the frontier. That's why we set it at the dawn of the Third Imperium. It's after the wars, the Empire's coming back, and you've been given an Imperial Warrant by the Emperor to go out and explore and expand, exploit in the new sector of the galaxy. So you're not coming in guns blazing, but you're going to figure out ways, whether it's through diplomats, shadow, economics, whatever, build up your trade routes, get power, get influence, and it's a combination of, you've got resource management, you've got movement, there are a lot of cool events in the game. My key in this was try to make game that there's a lot of player interaction. So you play a card, you do your thing, you play the next card, you keep going. We actually knocked a game of this out the other night in just under 2 hours. Now, admittedly, we know what we're doing, right?
Right, exactly.
But two things with this. A lot of times when you develop a game and you work on it for years, you're tired of playing it. I will play this at the drop of a hat with anybody, which I take as a good sign.
Of course.
And I found it like, I had a demo here yesterday, 10-year-old kid, and he was eating it up. So this stuff that, on the one hand, I don't want to have too much of a tangent, but the idea that kids and board games, you've got to make it real dumb simple, he was enjoying the heck out of it. So what you want to do is try to minimize the learning curve. There are a lot of options in here, but I wanted a game that would reward you for repeated play. The more you play this, the more you understand.
The more nuances there are unveiled.
Yeah, and so you get the subtleties of the actions and what you can do with the events, and there's a lot of back and forth. We had a game the other night where the guy drops a building into like one of my main systems. Like, why are you doing it? He said, what are you going to do about it? So I said, fine. So the next time he went and explored a planet, I played an event that instead of a really good star system, he found one that was basically a rock in space. So he couldn't exploit it. So he says, fine, this planet we're both on, I'm going to play this plague. And it just so happened his special ability was pharma, so he was immune to the plague, but my power and influence. So this went on for 2 hours. So by the end, we had a great time, regardless of who won. That's what I want in a game.
So is this, I do understand that as you play, you're exploring the galaxy, so you're revealing the planets. It's not, everything's not set in stone.
No, absolutely not.
Now, when you begin, are you beginning out where it's just basically one ship and you're kind of building your faction up?
No, so basically the faction that you play is based on the noble house and the corporation, what we used to call mega corporations, but we don't anymore in Traveller, and the Imperial court elements that you get. And you can mix and match those, and depending on what those have, like everybody has the same base actions they can do, but they'll have special abilities. Like once a game, you might be able to move ships from offboard and immediately deploy them. or you might have a special ability that lets you find secrets in eligible systems without having to roll for them. They're automatic. And there's all kinds of ways to bend the game and kind of customize your own game. It's not a collectible game, but one of the things we let you do is we may have to do this after we ship, but in addition to all the factions that you get with the game, you're also going to be able to design, pick the options you want, and that faction you design, we'll put it in the mail and mail it to you after we print.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it's a little, you get those role-playing elements, but it doesn't take you months to get to the money stuff.
And speaking of the role-playing elements, you have various different characters, various like assassins, things like that, and based on their cards, because you have miniatures, and of course folks are watching and seeing B-roll stuff right now, you've got various different miniatures, but you also have these other little tokens that you slide on there to customize that character or ship.
I'm really happy with these. We do all the 3D modeling ourselves. We do all of the, so I can't put 80 of these in the box. I mean, I don't want you to have to put a second mortgage on your house to buy the game, right? But so what we do is you have these which match up to the cards for the various ships. And so if I know I have Scout 12, I do this, and that matches that ship here. So every game, my ships are going to be a little bit different. My Shadow Agent's going to be a little bit different.
The Alex
and so on. Yeah, the Alex is different. So you can tell I'm big on replayability.
Sure.
So what
most people are.
Well, yeah, but I try really hard to have games that are not scripted, that you can get into, and you know the fundamentals of how to play, but how it expands, especially after the first couple of turns, is up to the players and the actions they take.
And the base game itself is just jam-packed with tons and tons of stuff.
With obviously, everybody can't see everything that's on the table, but it's got tons of star systems. It's got all of the jump points and the links. We've got all these miniatures we put in, cards, decks of cards that give you variety on all those ships and stuff, and a big card deck that will vary depending on whether you do actions or events every game. And of course, if you want to buy add-ons, we'll do that, but it's not meant to be a collectible game. We're not trying to make you go down that road. But if you're like me and you really like playing free traders, or you want to be an asteroid miner and get those special abilities, you can buy those for a little price and it'll open up the game with more cards.
And that's one thing I was going to mention. I know you had various different add-ons and stretch goals and things like that. But you are going to make a good number of those stretch goals available for purchase as well.
Yeah, we're going to make some of those. I mean,
not all of them.
Not all of them.
We're exclusive.
Well, sure, some of them were exclusive to Kickstarter because those guys have been great. They obviously supported us, showed interest in the game, or we couldn't have published. So we want to take care of those guys and make sure they get everything they want and then some. And then after that, people here like, at this convention, we've been pre-selling the game. What that does is after your Kickstarter guys, that will move you up in the queue and you're able to buy not everything, not the exclusive stuff, but a lot of the stuff that was available. And, we'll ship it to you right after we take care of our Kickstarter folks.
And it's from Daring Play, but it is going to be available through Lost Battalion.
That's our...
And what is that website, Terry?
LostBattalionGames.com.
Any other final thoughts you want to share about a really awesome looking Traveller game?
I just hope people get a chance to try this, and I hope they like it half as much as all the Traveller guys in my group who've been playing this for a while.
Because at first glance, most people will probably have the thought that, wow, this looks pretty complex. This is going to be one of those 6-hour games.
But it's not. I love those kind of games. I mean, science fiction games have really gotten sophisticated over the last 10, 15 years. But the problem I have with most of them, as much as I like them, is that they take 6 to 8 hours to play, and the last 2 turns take longer than the rest of the game because everybody's building up to go bash each other for the final battle. I've had games of this where one guy in the game hardly ever battles at all and he wins because he maximizes his diplomats and gets treaty agreements everywhere and sends his shadow guy to knock the other guy down, and it's just as much fun for some people doing that as it is to have a big pitch pace battle.
And there are multiple avenues for victory.
Absolutely. Every game's going to be different.
Fantastic. All right, Terry, great seeing you once again.
Dude, it's been a pleasure.
Last time we sat down and did an interview, I lived out in Chandler, Arizona, and we were sitting around at Consim World Expo.
I remember the night I got off the plane for that convention, it was a chilly 103 degrees at 11:30 at night.
Yes.
And It's different. It was a great group. I really want to mention and call out a lot of those guys, because when we brought that out, went to Arizona and showed it at ConSim, I got a ton of feedback. Again, all you guys, thanks very much for that. That was very helpful. And I hope a lot of these guys, get a chance to try the game, and hopefully they'll like it as much as they did then.
Fantastic. Terry, as always, good to see you. And since, unfortunately, this is my last day at this con, hopefully Sunday is an awesome day for you.
Thank you so much. It's great seeing you, buddy. Cheers.
Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.